I just been thinking a lot about my childhood and how much freedom I had as a child. And, even at 5, 6 years old, we were out playing in the front yard, just playing mostly in the backyard, but a lot of times we'd be out playing in the front yard or we go put our roller skates on and we go down to our neighbor's house and roller skate in their driveway because they had a really cool driveway, a really smooth one. And and we just had a lot more freedom. And then when my kids came along, we first lived in a house that had a big field one house over on it was like a dead end, and there was a big field at the end of the road and street. It was just a street. It was just a residential area. Oh, look at that gray hair. Sorry. And then in front of our house was another street that was like went forward and then into a cul-de-sac. So it was a really quiet neighborhood. Very little traffic, just the people that lived there, basically. And so my kids were able to play in that field. They played all over, and I could usually kind of see where they were unless they were in the field. But they were with other friends who lived in the neighborhood. It was a pretty safe neighborhood, or else we got lucky. But then I think about when we moved to a different neighborhood. We were about, oh, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks maybe from the elementary school that they went to, and there's no way I was gonna let them just walk out that far out of sight. It just was and this was back in the late or early '90s, so things have changed. When I was a kid, I actually, lived across the street from the elementary school. When we got a little bit older, we moved away, and that house, I was just right there by my school. Of course, my friends all lived farther away, so I couldn't play with my friends, but I could just go over there and shoot baskets or swing or just play horses or just, do my own thing. I was over there by myself all the time. And I'm just thinking, there's no way I would allow my kids to do that because it's just not the same world. And the reason I even bring it up is because it's really sad to me that they don't get to experience the freedom that my generation had in just being kids. Now, my grandkids play outside. They do quite a bit, but they also spend a lot of time playing video games. They're already, my grandson just turned 4 today. The youngest one is 4, 7, and 9, and he's been playing video games as a 3-year-old. And so that to me just it's disturbing. I get that they have to have those skills as they get older. That's their world and they have to be a part of it. I understand that. But they still, in my opinion, need to experience using their imagination and doing stuff like that, which these guys do a lot of that. So I'm not trashing my grandkids. It just makes me sad that they're playing video games at these young ages. It just seems like too young because when they're told they can't play or they have to turn them off, they really they get angry. And that just doesn't seem normal. Their responses are there's a lot of angst. I feel a lot of tension in their little bodies and their little beings. And I think it's from that. Plus, there's a lot more pressure on kids now. I get it. But I was thinking back to when I was 13. My parents leased a horse for me, and my best friend lived about, I don't know, about 5 miles away, but where my horse was pastured was not that far as the crow flies from to where she lived. And so we would make arrangements. She had her horse on her property. So we would make arrangements to go meet halfway and have a lunch, and then we just go ride. We ride through people's pastures. We always shut gates, and we were very responsible. But we would just go to the little store down the way and buy candy or something. But we just had so much fun jumping hay bales and just being free to just be kids without constant adult supervision. And it wasn't like we were bad. We were just enjoying being human beings. Anyway, I just see that and I just think, oh my gosh, how sad that they don't get to experience the stuff. But I do remember my mom telling me when I was a little girl, do not get in the car with strangers, do not talk to strangers. And so I owned that. I was extremely shy as a little girl. And when my sister, my cousin, and I went to a movie, we went and saw 101 Dalmatians at the movie theater. That's how old I am. And I keep checking because somebody keeps peeking in my window over there. Um, so my cousin was on the aisle, my sister was next to her, and then I was on the end. And it was a there was nobody in the theater really. There were just a handful of people all spread out. And all of a sudden this man comes and sits next to me, and I was super shy anyway, and it just kind of freaked me out. I just remember leaning over to my sister's side, and and then he starts dropping coins. He'd pick them up and then he'd drop them again. Then he'd pick them up and he'd drop them again. And I remember thinking, what the hell is this guy doing? Well, I probably didn't say it like that. I just remember wondering what he was doing, and I just knew there was something wrong. Well, eventually he got realized that wasn't going to work to get my attention, so he got up and left. Probably went somewhere else. Hopefully not. But I remember telling my sister that this man was over there. And so as soon as he left, we got up and we moved down closer to the screen. And he never bothered us again. But I remember looking back at the projection room, up above, and seeing a body, somebody up there. And I thought, sure, it was him because I was just this little girl and I didn't know how things worked. But I'm sure he was trying to either expose himself to me or do something to me, but I just wouldn't even look at him because it was just like, nope, I'm not biting. I'm not doing that. And just because I was, if I had been a more outgoing kid, I might have responded differently. But fortunately, I was really shy. Um, and then another time, we had a little market on the kind of just around the corner from our street that we lived on when I was 5 or 6. Well, I think we moved away when I was 7. And around the corner was this little market, this little mom and pop store. And my friend and I, we were like under 7 years old. We'd walk up there and get candy, get those wax filled bottles that were just god awful, or the little lips and the candy cigarettes, all that stupid penny candy. We would go buy stuff like that. Well, one time I was walking home, and I must have been by myself. I'm not sure why. But I remember walking home from there, and actually, I might have been walking home from kindergarten because I had to walk up my street and down this 2-lane road to kindergarten, which was at a church at that time. We didn't have kindergarten in the schools yet. And so I might have been coming home from that, which would have been why I would have been alone. And this guy pulled over in his car and asked me if I wanted to ride. And I said, no. No, I don't even remember. I probably just ran. I probably just ran away because I wouldn't have talked to anybody. But later on, I think it might have been a friend of my dad's, but it was like, there's no way I'm getting in your car. And on that same, not that same day, but on that same walk home from kindergarten, I remember one time I had a little white umbrella and I was walking home and it was windy and rainy and my umbrella went whoop, the wrong way and it felt like it lifted me off the ground. Oh, that's a whole other thing. But anyway, yeah, I back to my original thought is it's really sad. I worry that my kids don't pay close enough attention to their kids when they take them to the park. They have this family night out, I think it's called. It's in August, usually like the first weekend in August. And the police department puts it on and, they get bounce houses and face painters and, all kinds of stuff going on. And the whole town kind of shows up and they're all at this park. And I just think these kids are just running off by themselves in this, what a perfect opportunity for some scumbag to come and steal a kid. Nobody's paying attention. The kids are all, they're kind of in their family clumps most of the time, but my kids let their oldest one run away. He's running off. And granted, he's probably around other people. Most of the time, it's probably not that big a deal, but they take him to the carnival. And, the carnivals, those are the places when I was a kid were scary. And now people are stealing kids out of parents' hands in the mall, or trying to. And it's a terrifying thing. I remember one time, my youngest child was probably 4, maybe. I don't think he was 5. Yeah, he was probably about 4. we were shopping at the mall at Christmas, and we had we went to the food court because we were going to have lunch. And the boys, it was my three older boys, my three younger boys actually, and my youngest, one of them had to go to the bathroom. So I said, okay, you guys take them to the bathroom, and I think we'd already gotten our food. I said, no, I'll go find a place to sit because it was really crowded. I mean, the whole food court was just full of people. There's a movie theater on one side, and then all the food things, and it was really crowded because it was holidays. And I remember setting the food down. I found a table, and I looked over, and they were walking towards me. And the two older ones sat down. I said, where's Jonah? They said, I don't know. He's right here. And my heart stopped. I mean, I freaked out because I couldn't see him anywhere. He was nowhere. And I mean, I started calling him, and it's like, oh shit, I got to leave these kids, but I got to go find this one. And thank God, the person that found him. I mean, we were quite a ways away from. There was the main entrance to the mall was right there by the food court, and somebody was standing at the door, holding him up to look around to see if he could see me. I mean, that's how close of a call that was, because somebody could have just grabbed him and poof, been gone out the door. Oh, I've never been so scared in my life. That was, it was gut wrenching. Thank God a nice person found him and helped him find me, because I don't know what I would have done. I mean, I was panicking. So I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So anyway, there are people out there who are kind, but there are a lot of people out there who have bad intentions for your children. So keep an eye on your kids. And anyway, I'm really sad that kids don't get to just be freer. I think there's some value in that. But as long as they're happy and well cared for, I guess that's the best we can hope for. All right, just some thoughts. Hope you're having a good day. If you like to hear more thoughts, like and subscribe. Talk to you later. Bye.